Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is John Maiden. It is Sunday, October 2nd, 2022. This is hard to believe that years go by and Clinton County Family Court, specifically Timothy Lawless, Keith Bruno, and Cheryl Maxwell, throwing Ellen Cruikshank for shits and giggles, are just some of the most corrupt, abusive, just unhinged family court environment that I've ever been in. This represents the absolute worst of these sworn officers of the court. I mean, trying to describe what has gone on even since I won my appeal on September 8th, and then imagining that Lawless jumped in here once again. I don't know that he read all of the petitions, motions, cross motions, and everything that are pending. But it was obvious in court on September 8th that, just a minute. Sunday afternoon, I'm watching football. It was obvious by what transpired in court that, man, something, I always said something is really wrong, but here's another example of it. I mean, first of all, Cheryl Maxwell wasn't there, claiming some sort of vacation thing or whatever, when Maxwell knows that she is compromised. That the only reason why I haven't filed anything yet is because I've been dealing with all these appointments, playing medical catch up because Clinton County Family Court ignored all of my requests for adjournments and continuances based on my ongoing cancer care. But that's just par for the course. Now, Cheryl Maxwell, in her reply to my appeal, absolutely disqualifies herself from acting as attorney for the children any further. She makes some, it's not even half-assed. Half-assed is being polite. This is a lawyer, an officer of the court who knows that conflict of interest doesn't depend on all the shit that she cites. Conflict of interest, I didn't have to prove that. That's an appearance of impropriety. This is all the shit that you see now. Look, when they decided for me at the 3rd Judicial District Court of Appeals in Albany and kicked it back to Clinton County, they basically, held this thing at arm's length and, held their nose and said, oh my God, we can't believe that fucking Keith Bruno is sitting there. We're just going to throw it back to you guys and hope for better results. But, so far it looks okay. You know why the fuck so far it looks okay? Because Cheryl Maxwell went out of her way to lie and to stick up for her boyfriend, Kangaroo Keith. I mean, and now here we are. This was, usually when, whenever I appear in court, with, Tiny Tim up there. Tiny Tim's, he's fucking Mr. Hard On. He's looking at me from, the jackbooted thug in a black robe that he is, trying to tell me he's going to fucking send me to jail. Yo, this motherfucker was sitting like this in court looking at us. He was like, And here's one of the things. I can't believe that I sat there in a courtroom while Timothy Lawless actually, weeded out and got rid of. And it was okay with me. I mean, I was aware of what he was doing. He thinks that he's he's so transparent, it's ridiculous. Anyway, once again, so Lawless goes from 20 docket numbers on this scheduling order. He reinserts him back into this when he's the main cause. Everything that Bruno is associated with this in, Lawless is associated with this in. The conspiracy goes back to 2012. We've talked about this already. Anyway, see, there are too many different, paths for me to go down because the different levels of corruption and the shit that these people have pulled over the years is off the his yoke, as they say. My goodness. So anyway, here we are in court on, September 8th. Now remember, Maxwell's not there. She's on vacation. Kristen and Ricky never come to court anymore. I don't know how that works. If I didn't show up for court where, it's demanded that I appear, I'm sure, somebody would issue a bench warrant for me in about 30 seconds. But, Crookedy Crookshank stands down there at the end of the row, and he enters his appearance for Ricky and Kristen because they're off smoking crack or doing heroin or whatever the fuck they're doing now. Um, and they're too busy to come to court. There's a lot of good shit about that too. Anyway, so no, here I am. We're sitting there in court. I've got, you know, what's her name? Lynn Ormsby, Massengill, douchebag, Davis, Carnahan, something or other, down the end of the row. With custody of four girls because Maxwell made her client. Maxwell made this person her client now. So, and there's some shit there too. I mean, there's a lot of levels to this. We're just talking on a sort of cursory, view from 40,000 feet right now. But Maxwell's disqualified. Maxwell is compromised. Crookshank is compromised. When they threw down with Kangaroo Keith and basically blessed everything that he did, that throws out the temporary custody order. I haven't even gotten around to addressing this yet because it just seems ridiculous. What I did get around to doing was submitting the packet to stop the child support payments. So now Lynn Ormsby has to come to court in Clinton County and declare where she lives and where she's going to stay with my daughters. And then my daughters are still not enrolled in school. As of October 2nd, 2022, I have not been able to verify that my children are enrolled in school. They would be enrolled in Peru School District, which would be fine with me. I like Peru School District. I know several of the teachers from having talked to them over the years while my daughters went there before. Some good football games going on today. But here's the thing. I have never seen a judge do this. This is a scheduling order that has 20 different docket numbers on it. There are, 5 different parties represented by 4 different attorneys trying to get custody of 4 girls, 3 of which are mine. And this is a judge in Clinton County Family Court, Clinton County Supreme Court Judge Timothy Lawless, talking to us over, the computer screen like this. And he says, somebody filed a petition in it looks like June 2021. And I said, I think that's me, Judge. And he said, and that was against Mrs. Carnahan? Yes, sir, she's not here. So that one's staying in? Yes, sir. These ones from why? And then he just goes through the list. And what he's doing is not using the docket numbers to talk about these legal matters in what is the only acceptable way to reference them unless you're trying to do something shady with them, which is what he's doing. Lawless's first warning to me was about getting an attorney, having an attorney. What he's telling me is I'm getting ready to fuck you over once again. And I have about 20 different ways to do it if you don't have an attorney. If you bring in an attorney, I still have 10 different ways to fuck you over because I'm a judge. So go ahead, do what you're going to do. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the rights of children or the damage that he's done. This guy has abused my children for the last 10 years by his actions. Parental alienation sanctioned by Timothy Lawless and Keith Bruno as they entered into that conspiracy back in 2012. Hell, it's all been documented, 300 pages of it that only captures from 2020 to 2021. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting in the basket waiting to go to Albany if this doesn't go my way. And that's what Lawless is trying to get rid of. So we went from 20 different docket numbers down to 5. Out of those 5 different now we got rid of Kathy Dupree, Kristen's mother, as a litigant. Katie Rock, who is Kristen's aunt, as a litigant. Travis Dupree as a litigant. Alan Weintraub is still pissy because they want him to pay money for wasting the court's time. And had he asked me or been, honest and, forthright with me, I could have told him what was going to happen. But he's an attorney and I'm not. So, he's obviously not going to consider anything I have to say as valid. Although I'm kicking everybody's ass right now, to tell you the truth. That's why Timmy Boy had to get back involved. Lawless is basically the cleaning lady now. He's coming in to clean up for Kangaroo Keith. I mean, the kangaroo, has left the building. His little, sweetheart recusal letter is it's a checkbox thing. I mean, that's how these guys cover their asses. It's unbelievable. I could white out Bruno and write in Lawless, and all the same things would apply. They're just delaying this. Once again, they know that this is not in any way in the best interest of my children. And everything that, Maxwell says in this temporary custody order that I can prove is absolutely discriminatory, biased, prejudicial, whatever you want to say against me and my daughters, because she has a new client named Lynn Ormsby, who she's now in favor of. And there's a lot of things that I learned in the last couple weeks, Ms. Maxwell. Remember back when we were in court before September 8th and you came to me before the appeal was decided and you offered me that little quid pro quo, you scratch my balls, I'll scratch your balls kind of thing. The quid pro quo thing, I could see right through it. What, you apologize to me in court and then you tell me if I'll consider dropping the appeal that you would file an Article 10 motion and have my children removed. But I wasn't going to stop the appeal from going forward. I knew I was going to win. And you had stuck your neck out. Like 10 pages of bullshit standing up for Keithy, for Kangaroo Keith. And this knucklehead, Lawless, in the process, you're just rubber. It doesn't work. My God, like I told everybody, I've been busy. All this stuff that I put off since August, I have been dealing with now. Here we are, the end of September, beginning of October. This week alone, tomorrow, I have two dental appointments that are going to keep me in a dental chair for about 2.5 hours because the teeth that I broke on Super Bowl weekend as a result of my radiation and chemotherapy treatments. My God, I'm recovering from cancer, people. Don't you understand that? Won't you grant? These people won't grant anything to me. And they really do this with, full knowledge of the damage they're doing to me and my children. This is reprehensible for sure. But, man, Ms. Maxwell, if I go through the different ways, I think no, I don't think. I know the different ways, a few of the different ways that you have fucked me over recently. So, and I can document them just going back to April when you stood there with me on April 21st, 2022, when Kristen was still your client and called Kristen your client like 4 times in open court in those proceedings. And then on May 10th, Ricky gets arrested. Kristen's in the hospital. Nobody calls me to tell me that this is going on with my children. And I know what you did afterward. You know what you did afterward, too. And, it involves, oh, man. So, there's not like, Ms. Maxwell, will you just, please resign from this? And please ask the court to make this right. If you have any responsibility as an officer of the court and as an attorney for the children, and I have the AFC ethics manual, shall we recite that chapter and verse when we go to court? Or would we rather just use, the Supreme Court decision called Troxel versus Grandel, which absolutely blows your horseshit about best interests of the children out of the water? Especially when you grant it to Ricky Carnahan's mother, who has, no biological ties to my daughters. She's just convenient for you. You just wanted to fuck me over one more time. So now, here comes Timmy. I haven't had a chance to address all these things, Miss Maxwell. Is that what you want to do? And Judge Lawless, too. I mean, I'm aware of what's going on and what you're preparing to do to me. You're going to bulldoze me once again. Like I said, you got rid of 15 different docket numbers. Included in those docket numbers, when Kristen's mother and aunt and everything were the petitions, are my motions for custody. And in those motions for custody, contain affidavits regarding contempt of court. Sure, sure. That's what Lawless went out of his way to get rid of. Now I'm going to refile all this stuff. Like I said, I'm just dealing with too many medical issues. Tomorrow is dental. Are more appointments to get fitted for another prosthesis for my left leg. There's all this different stuff going on. And what is it? Thursday, I have to be back down in Albany. Friday, I have to be back up here at Valcor Imaging for another CAT scan. But that does not stop these people. No, it doesn't. And they think that I'm going to jump because, in Maxwell's half-assed temporary custody order, in which she absolutely discriminates against me and my children once again, especially in light of this, my winning the appeal. She doesn't have any standing anymore. Like I said, Cheryl Maxwell is compromised. She disqualified herself so many times in the last 2 years that it's, beyond reproach as to what I could, bring up in court. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. I knew that she wouldn't argue against some of this stuff. I didn't think that she would be dumb enough to put in writing in a reply to my appeal all of the various reasons why Kangaroo Keith was okay with his decisions. I mean, the Third Judicial District took one look at it, and that was before I put in there, again, when I went back into my documents, did the research. That was before I had discovered that last, little bit where, when I had to go back in and looked about who it was that was accusing me of domestic violence and child abuse. It wasn't Kristen accusing me of it. It was Keith Bruno, who while he represented Kristen, Keith Bruno initiated an investigation into me in Clinton County, New York, for child abuse and for domestic violence, all of which were unfounded. And I could have told you that from the door and saved, this county hundreds of thousands of dollars that they've wasted over the years trying to fuck me over because, this is the path that they started down. But when it didn't go their way, these guys, started some shit with me 10 years ago. So it's documented. Lawless doesn't want to see that because he's the puppet master in it. He's the judge that Keith Bruno submitted his request for this investigation to. And then when the report comes back, I got a copy of the report. An attorney named Cantwell, who was the attorney for my children at the time, who I subpoenaed and Bruno wouldn't allow, to come to court and speak in any way. Cantwell was the other guy. Lawless was the judge. And Bruno, of course, was Kristen's attorney. All of it was unfounded, but that hasn't stopped them for the last 10 years from illegally and absolutely discriminating against me, using nothing against me. But make no mistake, Lawless has thrown me in jail on 3 different occasions over nothing, just because he's a powerful prick, as I said before. So, I'll refile all this stuff. What I'm asking for are common sense solutions to where we find ourselves today. We can do this little dance all over again, and I will absolutely kick your motherfucking ass one more time when this gets to the Third Judicial District Court of Appeals, because you have even less of a leg to stand on, less of a basis in the court record, less of a basis on just about anything to oppose me as I attempt to get, as I will get full custody of my children at this time. Despite the discriminatory efforts of Maxwell. She can't stand in my way anymore. And now if you guys want to have some half-assed fitness, proceeding about me, be my guest. I'll refer you to the Pennsylvania Board of Probation and Parole, where I was sentenced completely non-violent offender. It was called the Triple RI, Recidivism Risk Reduction Initiative by the Pennsylvania State Board of Probation and Parole. This is what happens when you have PTSD and oh my God. But under that initiative, I was given, because I was believe me, they stick a microscope up your asshole for these things when they're, going to release you from state prison. And they found me to be a nonviolent offender. So they reduced my sentence by 20%. It was a 1 to 5. So I only did 9 months and I was back out. Because I'm not a violent person. believe me, if somebody comes at me, that's not what we should be talking about. We should be talking about four little girls who should be enrolled in a school right now and should be attending individual counseling on a weekly basis and then family counseling on a weekly basis with me so that we can rebuild this, you know, tragedy that has transpired for, I can't even imagine what's going on over the years. But I can rebuild it. My mom, God bless her soul, Mary Ann Maiden, and my dad, John Elwood Maiden Jr. Um, I mean, I have the financial resources to absolutely go get an attorney and bring them up here and blow all of this out of the water. Um, but I just spent $25,000 trying to hire two different attorneys. When one of them found out that it's Clinton County Family Court and that Lawless is now involved, they said, oh, fuck no. I mean, I can't tell you how many different attorneys do not want to argue family law or any type of law, really, in front of Lawless. I mean, he's the single biggest reason why there's a lawyer shortage in Clinton County because nobody wants to, do business, in front of this judge. He's, man, I can't go into that here. You have to read the book. I mean, there's, I thought when I won the appeal that this would be, overturned relatively easily and that, I would be granted custody of my children and I could move forward. Little did I know that this prick was going to stick his dick in there again. But, okay, so be it. Look, time goes by. More abuse of my children, believe me, it will be mentioned in the civil suit. And that's what I'm mostly studying right now is, filing a notice of claim for a civil suit seems like a big pain in the ass because you have to identify all these different parties as to the basic, case and all these different... They make it prohibitive for you to do this. They don't make it easy. And I've come this far with very little, legal support. This is all done with a paralegal degree from Lansdale School of Business and my ability to communicate and to transcend the corruption, the conspiracy, the xenophobia, the incestuous relationships between the various officers of Clinton County Family Court and Clinton County Court in general, and then it extends to various agencies of the Clinton County government, which is what you see in someone like Chelsea Warwick. Chelsea Warwick is, has a major claim against the Clinton County Sheriff's Department for similar shit, abuse of power. She's just a female, so they go at her differently. I'm a disabled veteran. They come at me regardless of my disabilities, regardless of the service to my country, to fuck me over. Now, what do you think they do to a 20-year-old kid with three different children with two different women who's working for $12 an hour? I mean, they destroy these young men's lives. They rip these families apart. There's financial incentive for them to do so. This is the family court industrial complex on fucking steroids here in Clinton County. And it needs to be exposed. So I won't spend money for an attorney. I'll probably just go try to see how cheaply I can create a TV commercial on cable, man, all right. I've talked enough. What have I, 20-some minutes? Oh, my God. This has to stop. Where are my children?